What's up, MetaLife bankers? This is Sebastian Boyer, the approved guy. And on this video, I'm going to be talking to you about velocity banking. So if you've been researching velocity banking, if you've been watching videos of other YouTubers, learning about it, and you're really thinking about implementing the strategy, but you're just not sure what the steps are you need to take to start practicing the strategy, on this video, I'm going to break it down. I'm going to show you the 4 steps you need to take before you start practicing velocity banking. Without further ado, let's get right to it. All right, guys, what is velocity banking? So first of all, velocity banking is simply speeding up the process of eliminating debt and eventually taking the same cash flow that you're using to pay your debts off and then redirecting that in investments to build wealth. It's that simple. Now, there are different ways to eliminate debt. You can do that just by being disciplined and budgeting and just allocating funds towards your budget and not spending more than what you have on your budget. Now, there's other strategies, and they're very popular teachers and coaches that teach different ways of eliminating debt. There's debt snowball, there's debt avalanche. There's so many different ways, and those are very safe ways of doing things, very conservative. If you're afraid of credit, if you have a bad experience with credit, and you're not a good steward of leveraging debt, then velocity banking is not for you. Because the premise of velocity banking is that you're going to leverage a line of credit, and you're going to use that line of credit to pay off your debts faster than you would if you were to pay your cash flow directly into your debt. So you have to have a line of credit to be able to practice the strategy. There are unique nuances on how you practice the strategy depending on your credit, what you have access to, how much debt you have, what are your goals, your timelines, what debts are you trying to attack. You can use credit cards as well as a way of eliminating debt and getting rewards points and cashback points. So velocity banking is a very strategic process that requires a diligent person that's going to leverage and use that debt to eliminate debt. That's, again, what it boils down to. All right. So some of the most popular teachers that I have found that I learned velocity banking from is number one and foremost, DENZEL Rodriguez. You could check out his YouTube channel and you could literally watch hours and hours, unbelievable content. He runs the numbers for you on a whiteboard. So if you want to really learn it, you need to digest content before you start. Make sure you check out DENZEL's YouTube channel. But if you're looking for someone to help you implement the strategy, obviously DENZEL can. There are other coaches that are out there, and I'm one of them, and I can help you as well. So without further ado, let's get into the 4 steps that you need to have in place before you start your velocity banking journey. Okay, number 1, you need to know your numbers. Your 4 numbers are number 1, expenses, number 2, debt, number 3, income, number 4, cash flow. These are your 4 numbers. You need to understand there's a difference between your expenses and your debts. Your expenses are bills that you're gonna have to pay no matter what. That's gonna be food, gas, the light bill. There's certain expenses that no matter what, you're always gonna incur those expenses. They're not gonna go away. You wanna separate your expenses from your debts. Debts have a deadline. They have a term, or they may be revolving like a credit card. But they basically have an expiration date. You can eventually pay them off. So you want to separate your expenses from your debts, and you need to know what those numbers are. What are your minimum monthly payments that you have to make on your expenses? What are your minimum monthly payments that you need to make on your debts? And on those debts, you need to itemize what's the due date. Make sure you know what the due date is. You also need to know what the statement closing date is, which is the date that the creditor or vendor reports that new balance to the credit bureaus. And you need to know what your interest rates are and what your payoffs are. Okay, so these are the numbers you need to know. Your expenses, your debt, including the balance, the minimum monthly payment, the interest rate, the due date, and the statement closing date for the debts. Okay, obviously you need to know your income. What is your income, and what are the dates that you get that income being deposited into your accounts? And then what you're going to do is you're going to You're going to take away your monthly expenses and monthly debt minimum payments from your income, and that's going to leave you with cash flow. Now, you may also include in your expenses things like savings accounts, which could be an infinite banking policy, or it could be any other insurances, as well as any other expenses that you're going to have as an ongoing. So your rainy day account, your cash flow account that you want to have access to for investments, these are all going to be expenses, okay? And so at the end of the month, after you pay out all of your expenses, after you pay your minimum payments on your debts, what's left is your cash flow, okay? And that is your basically that's what you're working with. That's what you have available cash flow in case you need to do anything, all right? So remember, included in your expenses on top of everything else is going to be your entertainment. It's going to be what you do. Let me tell you guys, if you don't budget your expenses, if you don't budget where your money's going to go, if you don't have a purpose for your dollar, you will spend that dollar without having any idea where it went. So you need to have a budget. You need to be able to limit yourself. If you're going to go out and enjoy a restaurant and food, entertainment, whatever you're going to do, have a budget set. Don't leave it open because you're going to spend all your money. So set a budget, and when you reach that limit, stop. Don't go any further. Okay? So you part of the process of knowing your four numbers is also knowing what your budget is for each one of your expenses that you are going to limit yourself to. Not what someone else tells you to do, but what you're going to limit yourself to. Okay? So budget yourself for each of your expenses that you've listed in your expense sheet, and stick to that. Okay, so these are your four numbers: expenses, debt, income, and then what's left is your cash flow. All right, you need to be able to get access to a line of credit. To practice velocity banking, you have to get a line of credit. The bigger the line of credit, the better. The interest rate is important, but it's not everything, because if you get a simple interest line of credit, the whole point of the strategy is that you're going to avoid that interest by continually dumping your income back into that line of credit. So the premise, or the reason this works, guys, the reason you pay off debt quicker and you avoid interest is because of a simple interest line of credit, like a personal line of credit or a PLOC, a business line of credit or a BLOC, or a HELOC, which is a home equity line of credit. That's usually going to be the best bet if you can get your hands on a HELOC. But if you don't have a home, you don't have equity, then you can look to get a PLOC or a BLOC. Now, to get access or to get approved for a PLOC or a BLOC or a home equity line of credit, you have to have good credit. That means that your personal credit needs to be in good shape. So, to be able to qualify for the line of credit so that you can practice the strategy, you need to make sure your credit is in good shape so that you can qualify. If it's not, then you need to get plugged in to a credit repair program, repair your credit, as well as build new credit so that you can qualify for the biggest and the best personal line of credit, business line of credit, or home equity line of credit. Using credit cards for velocity banking is good, but it's going to have limitations depending on what you can pay directly from the credit card or not. So you want to use that as a supplement in the strategy, but not as your exclusive use for velocity banking. You want to have a PLOC, BLOC, or HELOC, and then use credit cards to pay for things like groceries, gas, and expenses that you can make payments to. But just like you're practicing the strategy with a line of credit, where you're basically going to you're going to in one lump sum pay off a chunk of debt, and then you're going to use your income to pay into that line of credit immediately. The same thing is going to happen with the credit card. You're not going to let the interest sit there and accrue interest. You're going to pay it the same day. And that's the key here to practice the strategy, which leads to the next step in preparation, which is going to be planning. When you plan, you need to set goals. What are your goals? What's your first debt that you want to attack? Is it the mortgage? Is it the car payment? Is it the school loans? Is it your credit card debt? What loan or what debt do you want to get rid of first? What are your goals? What is the timeline that you're giving yourself to do this? So if you know your 4 numbers and you're able to get yourself a line of credit so that you can practice the strategy, now you need to set your goals. And then you need to map your strategy. You need to know what day of the month you get the most income in and what day of the month you can schedule to make that lump sum chunk payment to that debt using the line of credit. And on the same day, dump your income into that line of credit. This is how it works, guys. This is why velocity banking is so powerful. It's because you are attacking the simple interest on the line of credit with your income, and you're going to do that continually after your chunk. A chunk means that you're going to take a lump sum from your line of credit and throw it at a major debt like a mortgage or car loan or whatever. Okay. You're also going to use that same line of credit to pay for your expenses. So your expenses for the month are paid for, and you're going to pay all your debt minimum payments except for one debt. You're going to chunk a lump sum into that debt from your line of credit. Then on the same day, you're going to take all of your income that you just got paid from your job or your business, and you're going to dump it into that line of credit. So what you're doing is you're preventing the line of credit from accumulating or accruing interest, because before that day is over, you paid it. You used it, and then you paid it immediately, and you dumped all of your income into it. And then every month, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to dump all your income into the line of credit. You're going to use the line of credit to pay for your expensive and the minimum payment on your debts until you are able to get the line of credit back down to zero, as close to zero as possible. And then you're going to do another chunk. So that might take you 6 to 12 months to do that. You're chunking one time every 6 to 12 months, and you're using the line of credit to pay your expenses and your bills in the meantime, and you're dumping all of your income into that line of credit. So your planning is so important. You need to know what day is the best day of the month for you to start your strategy, and stick to that day of the month to move your money around, because you need to map this out. You need to know what accounts you can pay with the line of credit. Can you pay out with the line of credit? Do you need to transfer money from the line of credit to a checking account first, and then from the checking account pay your bills and expenses? So these are things that you have to figure out before you start the strategy. And so part of that is going to be based on what is the line of credit and what are the features of that line of credit. That's why a first lien HELOC is such a powerful tool, because it's a HELOC that comes with a checkbook, and you're able to use it with use a debit card with that account as well. So you can use the debit card to make payment. You can use checks versus having to transfer money from one account to another and then make payment. So a regular HELOC is good depending on the features or functionality of that HELOC. A personal line of credit or business line of credit is good as well, but you may have that extra step. So you need to plan ahead. You need to know, what day am I going to do this? You need to know in advance, what accounts can you pay? How are you going to pay them? Do you need to move money from one account to another before you make the payment, before you implement the strategy? And if you are going to use credit cards to get rewards points, cash back, and travel points, you need to know what debts can you pay with the credit card, right? And or expenses can you pay with the credit card? And just like the HELOC, you want to use the line of you want to pay the credit card back the same day. Do not allow that interest to accumulate. So the point is to eliminate debt by leveraging debt, eliminating interest by dumping income right back into that line of credit, and therefore you avoid as much interest as possible. In some cases, if you practice this properly, you can completely avoid any interest at all on your HELOC or line of credit. Okay, so again, these are the steps of planning to implement the strategy. And this is where you might need a coach. You might need someone like myself or Denzel Rodriguez, or there's lots of folks out there that are practicing the strategy that you can reach out to, and you can hire them for an hour, 2 hours, to just sit with you, go through your numbers, map out your plan, help you to know what your strategy and steps are. If you need assistance with a credit repair or with a consultant to help you build credit, they can help you. This is why a coach is someone that you want to have on your team to assist you, unless you've been studying the strategy for such a long time that you really feel you have it locked down and you don't need a coach. Then go for it. But make sure that you plan in advance. You get your line of credit. You know what your dates are. You know what your numbers are, and you've put it. You strategically map this out. Don't just dive into this haphazardly without properly mapping it out, because otherwise you're going to hit a wall when you can't transfer the money from one account to another or pay that bill with that account because you didn't plan it in advance. You need to know how all of your accounts work and how you're going to be able to move money around and make payments on the date that you have defined as your start date. So don't just jump into this. Plan ahead. You might need a month, maybe 2, maybe even 3 months of planning to get everything lined up so that when you start the strategy, you can hit the ground running without any stress. You have everything ready and lined up for you to implement the strategy properly. And again, a proper coach can help you to do that. So, you want to consider that, maybe hiring a coach. If you'd like to hire me as a coach, in my links in my description of this video, you can schedule a free consult, and then from there we can negotiate 1 or 2 hours of coaching to assist you with your personal strategy based on your numbers and your goals and your objectives. The last piece of the puzzle of getting ready is you have to make a commitment. I mean, this is not a joke. This is serious. You can mess up your finances if you are not committed, if you don't do this right. So you need to make sure that if you're going to start this, you're going to see it through. One of my favorite quotes, I love this quote by Denzel Washington, is between goals and achievement are discipline and consistency. And that's what you need to be successful with your velocity banking strategy. And that's what you need to be successful in anything in life. You need to have discipline and consistency. Discipline and consistency. You set a budget. If you reach that limit, stop. Don't go over budget. That's being disciplined. You are going to stick to the plan, and every month you're going to do the same thing with your money as planned. That's consistency. Discipline and consistency will allow you to reach your goals and achieve the success that you want in life, whether it's eliminating debt, saving money, implementing investment strategies, starting a business, whatever your goals are. In between your goals and achievement are discipline and consistency. Well, guys, I hope that this video was of value and instructional for you in preparation to begin your velocity banking strategy. If you're at all confused about the strategy, feel free to schedule a consultation. This first consultation would be free, and then again, we can negotiate time if you want more one-on-one coaching to support you in your strategy. With that said, it's the Approved Guy signing out. Thank you for watching. God bless you. Make it a great life.